So I just came back from a 6,000 mile road trip out to get on Adventure Fest and back, using a lot of back roads and some highways. But I camped off the bike all but 3 nights. 2 of the nights were staying at relatives, and one of them was a shitty hotel in Montana. This is how I packed for it. So first I have the Tankbag, which has all of the electronics and sort of personal items: toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, batteries, headlamp, cables, drugs, vitamin I, a battery so I can charge all the devices at night instead of on the bike. Holds the cameras, Insta360, the point and shoot that's on the tripod over there now, some soap, and all sorts of chargers. And it also has this top map pocket that just collects all of the papers and maps and little small trinkets from the trip. And then on the seat I have a sleeping bag, as well as some dirty socks in a dry bag. And it's maybe 35-40 degree sleeping bag, so good for the summer, but if it gets too cold, I can start getting cold. And I have my river shoes slash camp shoes slash walking around shoes that get strapped to the back of the seat. I decided to separate my tent equipment because the long skinny bag isn't great for storing in a motorcycle. Found a Tusk tent pole bag, which holds the tent poles nicely and allows the rest of the tent to be packed up more easily. I have a 3-person tent, which is really nice when it's wet out and you need some space. It's not the smallest or lightest thing, but it's what I have, and it's light and small enough. If I want to go lighter, I'll take my hammock. So this was home sweet home for 14 nights. They call this a 3-person tent, but you're really only gonna fit 2 people side by side in here. 3 people would be some very, very good friends. The tent bag gets used to hold dirty things like the tent footprint that I have made out of a Tyvek sheet. The last campsite was super gravelly, muddy, and it was really hard to get all the extra stuff off of the footprint. This is that Tyvek ground sheet that I made, and you can see that it really did its job in keeping all this wet ground debris off of the tent. This is a mixture of sand and leaves and whatever they use to make the tent pads at that National Forest campsite that I stayed at in Michigan. But it did a great job keeping the actual tent dry and clean so that it doesn't get holes rubbed in it when it vibrates in the motorcycle for 12 hours. I have a insulated blow-up mattress, which works pretty well. It's not the most comfortable, but it wasn't super expensive, and it's thick enough to allow side sleeping, which is really the only way I can sleep. We have the tent itself, which, oh, I should have taken these out of the bag earlier. They're a little bit stinky. They're gonna need to get set up. And the rain fly. And the nice thing about separating everything is that you can just sort of put it away as you take it down. And it doesn't need to be folded into the perfect shape, it just needed to be folded into something that sort of fits in the bag. And I have a tarp, which I often throw over the motorcycle at night to keep riding gear dry and just to not have a wet seat in the morning with all the dew that often happens. And I have a spare rear 18-inch tube in the bottom of that bag. And that's the left pannier. The panniers are made by Enduristan, and they're the large size Blizzard. They're not large. They're, I don't know, maybe 24 liters. On the other side, I have an extra fuel bottle, which I did not fill up before I almost ran out of gas on Route 90 in Wyoming. But that holds an extra liter of fuel for when things go truly pear-shaped. I have an Amazon special Helinox knockoff chair, which I don't typically bring, but I knew having a base camp for 4 days, it'd be nice to have a chair. In the right pannier, I have a thermal layer, which also doubles as a pillow when I stuff it into the sleeping bag sack. And I found that that's been better than any of the little inflatable pillows. I don't like the feel of the inflatable pillows. I have my camp stove and pots. I use a multi-fuel stove. It can use twigs, or it has a little alcohol burner insert that works really well. I have a small first aid kit. I know I need to take a class and do better packing this, but it's helpful to have for now. I have a few t-shirts, maybe 4, although I acquired 1, as well as a riding jersey, 4 pairs of socks, like 5 changes of underwear, 1 pair of long pants. I have swimming trunks and a towel, and I also have 2 Black Hills National Geographic's maps in there, although I didn't use them. I wish I had brought my Wyoming map. That would have been far more helpful. All the routes from the Black Hills were pre-planned, and I was trying to make up my way through Wyoming on the go, and really should have brought a map. And in my tail pouch, I have rain gloves, rain pants, and a rain jacket, as well as a 12-volt tire pump and my little toolkit, which I've covered before. And that's about all I had for 17 days on the road. Now let's make this pile a little bit more neat for photographic purpose. And then I'll go weigh everything so I can be a weight weenie and see how much weight I'm actually taking with me. So we have the Firebox stove, tea kettle, which I used quite a bit for dehydrated meals. I did not use the bigger pan once. Could have gotten some grocery store food and heated it up that way, but I did not resort to that. I ended up eating out most of the time. I have my pump, extra tube, toolkit, extra fuel, little chair, tank bag, tarp, rain gear, thermal layer, socks, maps, undies, shirts, pants, towel, swimming suit, tent stuff, sleeping stuff, pair of shoes, and that's about it. Wow, 45 pounds is definitely more than I thought I was carrying with me. It's amazing how quickly it all adds up. It also doesn't include the extra 2 liters of water that came detached from the bike somewhere along Section 7 of the Wyoming BDR. I feel bad about losing it on the trail, but it was between 90 and 100 degrees, and my pressing concern was finding more water to fill my hydration pack. I have a larger plastic fuel tank waiting to be installed, so I won't need the fuel bottle on future trips, and clothes are heavier than I thought they would be. I'll work on reducing bulk there as well. If you're still here, thanks for coming along, and stay tuned for upcoming videos about my big western road trip.